This story is titled, I Dismissed When My Girlfriend Said My Parents Treat Me as a Wallet Until They Banned Me From Coming Home Unless I Paid My Brother's Debts. So I cut them off and woke up to 32 missed calls from family members begging for financial help. Hey everyone, I'm 31 years old and the youngest of two brothers in what I'd call a traditional family. Growing up was pretty straightforward, though it wasn't without its challenges. My older brother Tom was always the golden child in our household, the first to graduate, first to get married, first to have kids, and essentially the first to check every box on our parents' perfect son checklist. Meanwhile, I just existed in his shadow. Sometimes that existence came with a wallet that seemed to open on command whenever my family needed something. Growing up, it was crystal clear who the favorite was, and I made my peace with it. Or at least I thought I did. I left home as soon as I could and built my own life in Sacramento. I managed to secure a solid job as a business consultant, making really good money. That should have been the end of the story, right? I had escaped the family dynamic, established my own career, and was living independently. But life had other plans for me. Suddenly, I found myself covering all my parents' expenses. It started small and innocent enough. Mom calling about being short on the electric bill, Dad needing help with car repairs. It was the kind of stuff you don't think twice about because they're your parents. That's what family does, right? Except it didn't stop there. The requests got bigger, and the gratitude got smaller. Eventually, it wasn't even a request anymore, just a statement of what I would be paying for next. And like a complete idiot, I kept doing it. Every single time. Because what else do you do when it's family? Then one summer day, everything changed. I was sitting in Tom's backyard, watching his kids run around like tiny tornadoes, when his wife Lisa dropped what I can only describe as a truth bomb. Your parents only love you when you pay their bills, she said casually, as if commenting on the weather. Lisa was always known for being sharp and sometimes manipulative, so I just laughed it off. What else could I do? But man, that comment stuck with me. It was like when you hear a weird noise in your car and suddenly can't unhear it. Her observation explained everything. The sudden interest in my life whenever I mentioned a bonus, the increasing coldness when I talked about saving for my own stuff, the way Dad would be so proud of me right before mentioning some financial emergency. I decided to start testing Lisa's theory. When Mom called to catch up, I just chatted normally. No mentions of money, no offers to help. The calls got shorter and shorter, and invitations to family gatherings dried up completely. I realized my status in the family hierarchy was directly proportional to the cash flow I provided. That realization hit harder than I expected. Looking back, I should have seen the signs earlier. Like how my birthday presents would be something cheap while Tom got exactly what he wanted. How they'd come to my place and raid my fridge, never bringing anything themselves. How they'd borrow stuff and never return it. Small things that added up over time. Tom wasn't much better either. He was always struggling despite making decent money. Something was always going wrong. His house needed repairs, his car broke down, or his kids needed something expensive. Somehow, it always fell on me to bail him out, because that's what family does, right? But here's the thing about family. It's supposed to be a two-way street. Sure, you help each other out, but it's not supposed to be one person constantly giving while everyone else takes. That's not family. That's a relationship with a human ATM. The worst part? I actually believed I was helping. I thought I was being the good son, the good brother. I thought they appreciated it, even if they didn't show it much. I thought all this giving would eventually earn me the same love and respect they gave Tom. It didn't. It just made them expect more. The more I gave, the more they wanted. It's like feeding a stray cat. Once you start, you can't stop without feeling like the bad guy. And boy, did they know how to make me feel like the bad guy. We're not asking for much. After all we've done for you, your brother would help if he could. It's just until next month. We wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. All those little guilt trips worked like a charm, until they didn't. I started noticing other things too. How they'd brag about Tom's accomplishments to anyone who would listen, but mine only came up when they needed to explain why I should be able to help out financially. Or how my opinions never seemed to matter at family gatherings unless they were about what I was paying for. I'd sit there during holidays, watching Tom get all the attention, all the praise, all the love, while I got the bill. And I'd tell myself it was fine. This was normal. This was what younger brothers did. But it wasn't fine. And it wasn't normal. It was completely screwed up. The more I thought about Lisa's comment, the more examples I could think of. Like when Mom called to check on me right after I mentioned getting a raise on social media. Or when Dad suddenly wanted to go fishing, just us boys, right before revealing he needed money for a new roof. The way they'd call Tom for advice, but me for cash. It was like I had two families. The one I thought I had, and the one I actually had. Coming face to face with that reality hurt more than I expected. So yeah, that's the backdrop. That's the family I grew up in. A golden child who could do no wrong, parents who saw me as a walking wallet, and me, the idiot who kept trying to buy the love they gave Tom for free. Then Thanksgiving rolled around. As usual, I was expected to host, pay for everything, cook everything, and clean everything. I'd been doing it for the past 5 years straight. Tom and Lisa would bring a store-bought pie that nobody ever touched. My parents would bring their appetites and their complaints, and I'd foot the bill for the whole damn show. But that year was different. I was tired. Not just regular tired, but the kind of tired that seeps into your bones. The kind where you wake up and immediately want to go back to sleep. The kind where even thinking about hosting another family gathering made me want to scream into a pillow. So I suggested we do it at my parents' place instead. The silence on the phone was so long I literally checked to see if the call had dropped. Then they dropped the bomb. Mom literally said I could come to Thanksgiving if I paid off Tom's maxed out credit cards first. Not, we'll miss you if you don't come. Not, let's figure something out. Nope. A straight up price tag on my place at the family table. Your brother's been having some financial difficulties, Mom said, like this was news. Like he hadn't been having financial difficulties for the last decade. His credit cards are maxed out. If you could just help him this once. Like I hadn't helped 100 times before. Like this wasn't just the latest withdrawal from the bank of me. Something inside me just snapped. All those years of being the reliable one, the responsible one, the one they could count on to bail everyone out, and this was what it came down to. Pay up or don't bother showing up. You're right, I said, surprised at how calm my voice sounded. And that's why I'm done. I hung up. Just like that. No chance for them to work their usual guilt magic. I just ended the call and sat there, heart pounding, waiting for the guilt to hit. It didn't come. Instead, I felt relieved. Like I'd been carrying this massive weight without realizing it, and suddenly it was gone. My phone blew up immediately. Texts started rolling in one after another. Don't be dramatic. It's what family is supposed to do. This isn't how we raised you. You're being selfish. Each message was like a confirmation that I'd made the right decision. Each attempt to make me feel bad just made me more certain that I was done being manipulated. For the first time in my life, I turned my phone on silent, put it face down, ordered Chinese takeout, and watched my favorite movie without thinking about what problem I'd have to solve next. It felt weird. Good weird, but still weird. The next day, Lisa called. I almost didn't answer, figuring it would be more guilt-tripping, but curiosity won out. You should have seen your mom last night, she said. I could hear the smile in her voice. She was absolutely losing it. Kept saying she couldn't believe you would do this to your brother. I didn't say anything, just waited for her to continue. And your dad just sat there looking all pissed off like someone had stolen his wallet. That made me laugh because, yeah, someone did steal his wallet, me, by taking it back. Then, Lisa got serious. Look, I'm going to be real with you. You don't owe them a damn thing. But if you really want to drive the point home, don't go back. Not for Christmas, not for birthdays. Let them stew in their own mess. You'll see how fast they come crawling when they realize their ATM isn't working anymore. I never fully trusted Lisa. She always seemed to be playing some angle. But damn if she wasn't right about this. So that's exactly what I did. Thanksgiving came and went. I heard through the grapevine that they threw together some sad little dinner. Mom apparently complained to everyone who would listen about how I'd abandoned the family during the holidays. Tom supposedly slept through most of it, probably hungover. And Lisa, she seemed weirdly happy about the whole thing. When Christmas rolled around, I made plans with friends and booked a trip to Lake Tahoe. 2 days before I was supposed to leave, my phone rang. It was Mom. I stared at it for a long time before answering. Hello, I said flatly. Are you really not coming? She asked, skipping right past the pleasantries. Why would I shot back. You made it pretty clear my presence depends on how much money I hand over. Silence followed. Then, your brother is struggling, honey. We just want to make sure he's okay. Then maybe he should figure that out himself, I replied. She gasped, like I just told her I kick puppies for fun. That's your brother, she said, as if that explained everything. And I asked, genuinely curious what she'd say. So? She stuttered for a second, then switched tactics. We were talking, and we think maybe Lisa has been a bad influence on you. She's always been a little manipulative. Maybe she's putting ideas in your head." I almost choked. "Are you actually trying to turn me against her now? That's your play?" "We just think you should be careful who you listen to," she said defensively. I shook my head even though she couldn't see it. "That's funny, because she was the only one honest enough to tell me what you really think of me." More silence. Then finally, "I just hope you realize what you're doing," and she hung up. No Merry Christmas, no we'll miss you. Just a vague threat that I'd regret setting boundaries. I went on my trip anyway, posted photos on social media, and had the best Christmas I'd had in years. There was no stress about who was getting what presents, no awkward family dinner where I paid for everything while Tom got all the attention, no subtle digs about how I should be more like him, even though I was the one keeping the family afloat financially. Just me, my friends, and a complete lack of guilt. It was glorious. I thought that would be the end of it. Just some family drama that would eventually blow over. I'd stand my ground, they'd realize I wasn't bluffing, and we'd figure out a way to move forward where they stopped expecting me to foot the bill for everything. That's how it goes in movies, right? Big confrontation, lessons learned, cue the happy ending. But real life? Yeah, the universe had other plans for me. A week after Christmas, my landlord called. This was weird. We basically never talked unless something was wrong with the apartment. "Hey, I got a weird call from someone claiming to be your mother," he said. My stomach dropped. "What?" "Yeah, she was asking about your lease. She was worried about you, wanted to make sure you were handling your bills okay. Asked if you'd been paying your rent on time." My blood went cold. This wasn't concern. This was her trying to dig into my finances. Why? Because she couldn't manipulate me anymore, so she was looking for some kind of leverage. Maybe hoping I was behind on rent so she could swoop in with help that would come with strings attached. "She also asked how much you were paying," my landlord continued. "I didn't tell her anything, obviously. That's all confidential. But I thought you should know." I thanked him for letting me know and hung up, my mind racing. Who does that? Who calls their adult son's landlord to snoop on their finances? It was insane. But also, in a weird way, validating. It proved everything I'd been thinking. They didn't care about me. They cared about access to my money. And now that I'd cut them off, they were scrambling to find a way back in. That's when I realized this wasn't going to be a simple, I need space situation. This was serious. I needed to protect myself. I spent the next day in hardcore lockdown mode. Froze my credit, changed all my passwords, removed them as emergency contacts from everything, and made sure they had zero access to anything connected to me financially. I called my work and warned them not to give out any information to someone claiming to be my parents. It felt extreme, like something you do with an abusive ex, not your own family. But they'd crossed a line, and I wasn't taking any chances. I thought filing reports and freezing accounts would be enough. But it's exhausting paperwork, waiting for callbacks, the anxiety every time a random number shows up on my phone. It's like every little step toward protecting myself is a reminder of how much they broke my trust. But they weren't done with me yet. A week later, Tom called. We hadn't talked since the Thanksgiving blow-up, so I was surprised to see his name on my phone. Part of me thought maybe he was calling to apologize, to say he understood why I'd backed away. Instead, he said something that made my heart stop. "Mom and Dad just took out a loan in your name." The world tilted sideways. "They what?" I asked, barely able to get the words out. "They used your social security number," Tom continued. "They took out a loan. And I think they were hoping you wouldn't notice." My hands were shaking. "How do you know this?" There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then, "Because they asked me to do it first." I started fuming. This wasn't just a petty family fight. This was serious. This was identity theft. This was a crime. "They asked you to do it first?" I repeated it to make sure I heard right. "They wanted me to take out a loan in your name." Tom's voice got quieter. "Mom said you wouldn't mind. Said it was just temporary. I told them no. But I guess they just did it themselves." I stood up so fast my chair tipped over. "Are you kidding me right now?" "Look, I'm sorry," he said. "I thought you should know." My heart was racing. My own parents had committed identity theft against me. The people who were supposed to love and protect me had stolen from me. Who does that? I pulled up my credit report right there while still on the phone. And yep, there it was. A brand new personal loan for several $1,000s under my name that I never took out. "Holy shit," I muttered. "Yeah," Tom said, and he sounded tired. "They did it." The floor felt like it was crumbling beneath me. This was beyond manipulation, beyond guilt trips. This was criminal. There was a long silence. Then Tom said something that knocked me even further off balance. They did the same thing to me last year. What? He sighed. They took out a credit card in my name. I found out when the collections calls started coming. I was too embarrassed to say anything. What did you do? I asked. I paid it off, he said. I could hear the shame in his voice. They made me feel like it was my fault somehow, like I owed them for raising me. And this was just part of paying them back. I sat there stunned. This wasn't a one-time desperate act from my parents. This was a pattern. This was who they really were. Why are you telling me now? I finally asked. Because I wish someone had told me, he said simply. And because I'm tired of pretending everything's fine when it's not. I'm tired of being afraid. Afraid. That was the word that hit me. We were both afraid of our own parents, not physically. They'd never hit us or anything. But emotionally, financially, yeah, we were terrified. Terrified of the guilt. Terrified of the manipulation. Terrified of being the bad guy who didn't help family. But this time they'd gone too far. Way too far. I need to report this, I said. They could go to jail for this. Another pause. I know, Tom replied. Are you okay with that? He exhaled slowly. I don't know, but I think they need consequences this time. Real ones. We talked a bit longer, with Tom filling me in on other financial scams they'd pulled over the years. Things I'd never known about. Times they'd borrowed money from Lisa without telling him. How they'd guilted him into co-signing for a car he couldn't afford. How they'd run up bills in his name before. By the time we hung up, I was weirdly relieved. Not about the identity theft, that was still a nightmare, but about finally seeing the full picture. About knowing I wasn't crazy or selfish for backing away. I always thought blood was thicker than water. That family stuck together no matter what. Turns out family can be the ones holding the knife in your back. And I was done letting them stab me. The next few days were a blur. Phone calls to banks, credit bureaus, and eventually a lawyer. I'd never dealt with identity theft before, and holy shit, what a nightmare. Forms to fill out, statements to make, reports to file. It's like trying to prove you're you while someone else is running around being a shittier version of you. The bank seemed skeptical at first. And you have no idea who might have done this? The customer service rep asked. Oh, I know exactly who did it, I said. It was my parents. Understood, the rep said. In that case, you'll need to file an official police report and provide supporting documentation. We'll start the process of investigating the fraud once we have those details. I told her I'd take care of it. Once we have the report, we can proceed with freezing the account and removing the fraudulent loan from your credit file, she continued. Is there anything else I can assist you with today? Yes, I said firmly. I want to press charges. That moment felt surreal. I couldn't believe I was doing this against my own parents. My parents must have gotten wind of what I was doing. Because 2 days later, Mom called. I figured it might be good to have a record of her admitting what they'd done. How could you? I started the second I answered. Mom didn't even try to deny it. Sweetie, we needed the money. The casual way she said it, like that made it okay, made my blood boil. So you stole from me? You don't understand, she snapped. We're drowning here. And you have so much. You don't even notice when money is gone. I was shaking. I noticed this. It was just a loan, she huffed, like I was making a big deal out of nothing. We were going to pay it back. That's not how this works, I shot back. Do you have any idea what you've done? This is fraud. I could press charges. Dead silence. Then she let out this sharp little laugh. You wouldn't do that. We're your parents. And there it was. The audacity. The absolute certainty that I would let them get away with it because family. That magic word that apparently meant I should let them steal from me, lie to me, manipulate me, and still come back for more. Watch me, I said and hung up. I literally lost it. How dare they? The next morning, my phone blew up. Texts from Tom saying our parents were freaking out. Texts from Lisa saying she was proud of me for finally standing up to them. Then, a number I didn't recognize. I picked up cautiously. This is Detective Wilson from the Financial Crimes Division. We received a report about potential identity theft. I closed my eyes. It was real now. This was actually happening. I was reporting my own parents to the police. Part of me felt sick about it. Like, who does that? What kind of son calls the cops on his own parents? But then I remembered. What kind of parents steal their son's identity to take out fraudulent loans? I spent the next hour going through everything with the detective. The fraud report, the forged signatures, the emails my parents had used, the phone number linked to the loan. All of it led back to them. It was airtight. They weren't getting out of this. And then the detective said something that knocked the wind out of me. "We actually have another open report tied to your family." I sat up straight. "What?" He hesitated. "Your brother filed a police report last year. Same thing. Fraudulent credit card in his name." I went still. I knew Tom had told me they'd done this to him too, but I didn't know he'd actually reported it. I thought he just paid it off. "He did," the detective confirmed. "Didn't pursue charges at the time, but the report is still in our system." "Can you—" I swallowed hard. "Can you combine these cases?" "Already working on it," he assured me. "This pattern of behavior will be relevant." When we hung up, I immediately texted Tom. "You didn't tell me you reported them too." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, I was embarrassed. Then they made me feel like I owed them. I paid it off just to make it stop, but I reported it in case they did it again. I stared at my screen. This wasn't just about me. This had been going on for years, to both of us. They had been stealing from their own children, then gaslighting us into thinking we were the ones in the wrong. Over the next few days, everything got real. The bank froze the fraudulent loan. The police took formal statements from both me and Tom. My parents tried calling, texting, even showing up at my apartment. Thankfully, I wasn't home. Lisa reported that they were going absolutely ballistic, telling anyone who would listen that we were ungrateful children trying to ruin their lives. I blocked their numbers. I told my building security not to let them in. I drafted a cease and desist letter with my lawyer. It wasn't a threat, just a formal demand that they leave me alone. It was weird how little I felt about it all. Like emotionally, I mean. I thought I'd be a mess. Crying, second-guessing myself, feeling like the worst son in the world. But mostly I just felt tired. Tired and determined to see this through. Tom, though, he was struggling. He'd call me late at night, drunk, alternating between being sure we were doing the right thing and wondering if we were overreacting. Lisa was firmly in the them getting what they deserve camp, but years of manipulation had done a number on him. "Do you think maybe we should just pay it off and forget about it? For Mom's sake," he asked during one late-night call. "Would they do the same for us?" I countered. He was quiet for a long time. "No," he finally said. "They'd throw us under the bus in a heartbeat." "Exactly." He sighed. "I just keep thinking. They raised us, you know? They changed our diapers, taught us to ride bikes, paid for our school stuff. They did the bare minimum parents are supposed to do," I said. "That doesn't give them the right to steal from us as adults." More silence. Then, "I know you're right. It's just hard." It was hard. Harder than I was letting on, even to myself. Every time my phone rang with an unknown number, my heart would jump into my throat. Every time I checked my mail, I half expected to find some nasty letter. I wasn't sleeping well, wasn't eating right, kept having these dreams where I was a kid again, lost, trying to find my parents in a crowd. But I knew there was no going back. This wasn't a fight we could just make up from. This was the end of our family as we knew it. All that was left was to make it official. Because when someone burns you this bad, when they betray you like this, you don't just walk away. You make damn sure they never do it again. You make sure they understand exactly what they've lost. I called a family meeting. Not to forgive, not to listen to excuses, but to end this. Lisa thought I was crazy. "Why even give them the satisfaction?" she asked when I told her my plan. "Just ghost them and let the police do their thing." But I needed this. Needed to see their faces. Needed them to understand that this time, their manipulation hadn't worked. This time, they'd gone too far. Tom was nervous but agreed to come. "I need this too," he admitted. "Need to say things I've been holding back for years." We arranged to meet at our parents' house. Neutral ground was out of the question. This needed to happen on the turf where they felt safe and in control, where they wouldn't cause a scene, where they could see us walk out of their lives. When I arrived, Tom's car was already in the driveway. For a split second, I worried he'd chickened out and gone back to their side. He'd always been the peacekeeper, the one who couldn't stand conflict. But when I walked in, I saw him sitting at the dining table, back straight, jaw set. He gave me a small nod. He was still with me. The tension in that house was so heavy I half expected it to crack the floorboards. Mom sat stiffly at the table across from Tom, arms crossed like she was the victim here. Dad stood by the fridge, silent. with that look on his face he always got when he was pissed, but trying to seem in control. Lisa leaned against the counter, watching everything with sharp eyes. I sat down next to Tom and took a deep breath. "So," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Do you want to explain?" Mom scoffed. "Explain what?" I slid the fraud report across the table. "This." Her eyes barely glanced at the paper before she looked away. "We were going to pay it back." "That's not the point," I said, my voice getting sharper. "You stole from me. You used my name, my credit, and you didn't even have the decency to tell me. We're your parents." Her voice was cold. "We gave you life, and this is how you repay us?" I let out a bitter laugh. "Repay you? You've been draining me for years. The second I stopped handing over money, you pulled this." Dad finally spoke. "We were desperate. Your mother—" "Don't blame her," I snapped. "You both did this, and don't act like you haven't done it before." I turned to Tom. "Tell them what you told me." Tom hesitated, his fingers drumming nervously on the table. Mom's eyes narrowed. "Go on," she said, her voice low. "Tell him." Tom swallowed hard. "They did the same thing to me last year. Took out a credit card in my name. I found out too late and just paid it off because He exhaled shakily. "Because they made me feel like I owed them." Lisa rolled her eyes. Mom's head snapped toward her. "Oh, shut up! You've always turned them against us." Lisa smirked. "Just saying, I told him this would happen." Dad rubbed his temples. "You're both making a big deal out of nothing." "Nothing?" My voice was shaking now. "Nothing. You committed a crime, and you think I should just let it go?" Mom's face twisted. "What do you want? An apology?" I laughed, but it was sharp, humorless. "I don't want your apology. I want you to face consequences." That's when I pulled out my phone. "I already reported you. The police are investigating." For the first time, they looked scared. Mom went pale. "You didn't." "I did." Dad's fists clenched. "You do this to your own family?" I met his eyes, unflinching. "You did this to yourselves." Silence fell over the room. The kind of heavy silence that feels like it could suffocate you. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Could hear someone's stomach growling. Probably mine. I'd been too nervous to eat. Then Mom slammed her hands on the table so hard the salt and pepper shakers fell over. "You were supposed to take care of us!" she shouted. There it was. Not love, not concern, expectation, obligation, ownership. I was never their child. I was their retirement plan. The air went cold. I let that truth sink in. I looked at Tom, who seemed almost relieved to hear it said out loud. I looked at Lisa, who was nodding like, "Told you so." I looked at Dad, whose face had gone carefully blank, the way it always did when Mom revealed too much. And then I stood up. "I'm done." Mom's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Dad's face darkened, but he didn't move. And Tom, my brother, looked like a man finally seeing his chains. He glanced between our parents and me, his hands trembling slightly on the table. Lisa grabbed her purse. "Well, this has been fun." I turned to Tom. "Come with me." His eyes darted between our parents and me. I could see the conflict on his face, the lifetime of conditioning fighting against the newfound clarity. For a moment, I thought he might stay. And then finally, he stood up. Mom gasped, "You can't be serious!" Tom's voice was rough when he spoke. "I'm done too." And just like that, the last hold they had shattered. We walked out together, side by side, leaving behind the people who were supposed to love us unconditionally, but only ever saw us as resources to exploit. Mom's voice followed us out the door. "You'll regret this! You'll come crawling back! We're your family!" I didn't turn around. Tom didn't either. The door closed behind us with a final sounding click. In the driveway, Tom started shaking. Not crying exactly, but this full-body tremor like he was freezing. I put a hand on his shoulder. "You okay?" He nodded, not looking at me. "Yeah, just... That was 20 years overdue." Lisa came out a minute later, keys jingling in her hand. She looked at Tom with something like pride. "Well, you finally did it, honey. Took you long enough." We stood there awkwardly for a moment, the three of us, in the fading evening light. None of us quite sure what happened next. It felt like we just jumped off a cliff together and were still falling, waiting to see where we'd land. "What now?" Tom finally asked. I shrugged. "Now we keep going, just without them." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, without them." It sounded simple when I said it. Just keep going. But as we drove away from that house, I knew it was going to be the hardest thing either of us had ever done. "Then you know what happened?" They called. They texted. They tried everything to get back into our lives. I blocked them all. Tom did too. Eventually, Mom tried to send a letter. This pathetic, tear-stained note about how they were truly sorry and didn't realize what they were doing. Yeah, right. You knew exactly what you were doing for the last decade. I followed through with the fraud claim. They faced the consequences. Fines, court appearances, wrecked credit. They still blamed me. According to family gossip, they were telling everyone I was mentally unstable, that I'd authorized the loan then changed my mind. Whatever. I stopped giving a damn. It was like something inside me just switched off. All those years of trying to earn their approval, feeling guilty when I stood up for myself, gone. In their place was this weird, calm certainty that I'd done the right thing. Tom started therapy. Turns out he had a whole laundry list of issues directly tied to our upbringing, but he was healing. Lisa sent me a single text a few weeks after. Took you long enough. I laughed because she was right. It did take me too long. It's been 3 months now. I won't lie and say it doesn't hurt sometimes. I miss the parents I thought I had, but they were never real. What is real is the freedom, the weight off my shoulders. Tom and I talk more now. Turns out when you're not both being manipulated by the same people, you can actually have a real relationship. I got a promotion last month. Didn't have to worry about sudden emergencies that would eat up the extra cash. I'm saving for a house now, something I could never do before. People ask if I'll ever forgive them. Maybe one day. But forgiving someone doesn't mean handing them another chance to mess up your life. My parents made their choice. They decided their kids were more useful as resources than actual people. Now they're stuck with the fallout. Meanwhile, I'm building a life where people care about me for who I am, not for what I can give them. Where family means having each other's backs, not just me covering the bill every time. So yeah, that's my story. From family doormat to living my best life. And my parents? They can enjoy the bed they made. Hope it's uncomfortable. Some of you are asking if I'm being too harsh. Let me be clear. They committed a crime against me. This isn't they forgot my birthday or they said something mean once. They stole my identity. They forged my signature. They tried to ruin my credit. There's no too harsh when someone tries to financially destroy you for their own gain. To the person asking if I'm worried about them when they get older and need care, they already thought about that. That's why they were trying to drain me dry while I was young. They were planning for their retirement, and I was supposed to be their plan. Funny how that worked out for them, huh?